In the world of MMA, you'll see it time and time again. A champ on a tear will jump up the next weight class and try going for that champ status. I mean, Jon Jones and Alex Volkov recently did just that. One successful and the other not so much, but Volkov was damn close. Islam was counting seconds at the end of that fight, that's for sure. People also make these dream matchups where they don't really know who's gonna win. Like, can a pro middleweight or light heavyweight take on Shaq? Will Shaq's big booty just lay on top of them until they pass out? At what point does size outweigh skills? No pun intended. There's obviously a reason we have weight classes. If you put two guys on the opposite end of the spectrum against each other, the bigger guy will win. There's no way a DJ will beat Brock Lesnar or a Henry Cejudo is taking out a Jon Jones anytime soon. When it comes to weight classes, the UFC jumps up 10 pounds a weight class from strawweight until lightweight. Then 15-pound jumps from welterweight and middleweight. From middleweight to light heavyweight is a 20-pound difference. Finally, a massive 60-pound leap from light heavyweight to heavyweight at 265 pounds. A bit over the place, but better than boxing. I don't know what the hell they're doing over there. There's like 50 different tiny little belts and weight classes. Seems like they're counted by half a pound. Anyways, when a UFC champ jumps up a weight class, it'll be because of either two reasons. One, they want to go for a second belt, or two, they don't want to or can't cut that much weight anymore. And when you throw in that many of these guys are cutting like 20 pounds to get to their weight class, the effect of going up or down a weight class is compounded. So if you used to fight at 145 and then go to lightweight 155, you could be fighting someone that walks around at like 175, 180 pounds. Take for example Paulo Costa. He said that he walks around 225 outside of camp. He fought at middleweight. That's a 40-pound difference from 225 to 185. I could cut off my leg and not lose 40 pounds. Which leads back to the size versus skills comparison. When Paulo Costa lined up against Adesanya, you would think that he'd run right through the much more lanky, starving looking skin and bones Adesanya.
Skinny claw Adesanya.
But the complete opposite happened. Adesanya, being the much more skilled fighter, would outclass Costa and finish him in the second round. I mean, there was probably a good 10 to 15 pounds difference on fight night. You also have to take into account that the weight cut and wine that Paulo Costa was drinking was affecting him as well. When a fighter cuts that much weight, it makes them fatigue faster and be more susceptible to being knocked out. Going through that final fight week, cutting those extra pounds and not drinking enough water all the while training takes a big toll. But nonetheless, in that fight, skills beat size. Then a year later, Israel would jump up to light heavyweight for a shot at that double champ status. That's a 20-pound weight class jump. There, he'd take on the much heavier Jan Blachowicz, who probably weighed a good 20 to 25 pounds heavier. Izzy showed up with a slice of pizza in hand and didn't even make 200 pounds. During the fight, Izzy did seem more technical on the feet, but you could see he was cautious of Jan's power. Every hit Jan landed just had more impact. Finally, in the latter rounds, Jan would just lay on top of Izzy to cruise to a decision win, handing Izzy his first loss. Here, the opposite happened and size beat skills, and it happened just as you would imagine. The bigger fighter would land more significant and damaging shots. He'd use his size to outmaneuver and grapple the smaller guy. So even if the heavier fighter doesn't know anything about fighting, it doesn't take a genius to grab a guy and lay on top of him. I mean, there are many cases where the same is proven or even the opposite happens. But when you get to around a 25-pound or higher weight difference, size begins to literally and figuratively overpower skills. The heavier the person past the 25-pound range, the less skillful they need to be to win the fight. As long as the bigger guy has the most basic idea on how to fight, he more than likely will win at this higher range. Things like throwing a punch and a rough idea on what grappling is. Basically, just don't curl up into a ball and eat like 15 unanswered jabs. When it comes to stand-up, the more skilled fighter will land and evade more shots. This is the guy that knows how to throw a combo, slip the jab, or throw a right hook. Although the bigger guy has the heavier hands, the key to him winning is his wrestling. That's obviously where he can use his weight to his full potential. Being so much heavier makes it easier to control someone. It's like if you ever had a younger brother or stepsister. Think of how easy it is to hold them down no matter how hard they try to get up. Even if the more skilled fighter attempts a submission, having such a weight advantage lets you power through any armbar or kimura they might throw at you. Once you get to that 40-pound or higher difference in weight, the smaller guy will have much less of a chance, especially if it's a lighter person. It'll be much harder for a 145-pounder to beat a 185-pounder compared to a 205-pound guy beating a 245-pound guy. Once you reach that 190-pound range, you most likely have enough strength to hang with some heavyweights. Still, if the heavier guy is somewhat mobile and isn't some obese walrus, he'll more than likely beat the smaller, more skilled fighter. But if the guy with the 40-pound weight advantage has a giant beer belly with a 45 on the BMI scale, he'll be more worried about saving his stamina for ordering his next cheeseburger than dodging a takedown attempt.
Because you know I'm all about that cake and chicken.
You gotta take into account how the extra weight is spread out. Basically, is it all muscle or is it fat? So a guy like Shaq would beat most middleweights in under. But when it comes to the light heavyweight guys, I'd put my money on their skills. Not a betting man though. Lost a couple stacks like 3 years ago and still think about it while on the toilet. Till this day.
To this day!
But don't get me wrong, a highly skilled performer still has a chance at beating a bigger sized opponent. So if you don't have the biggest pickle in the jar, don't worry boys, you can still bag a 10 out of 10.